Yo, what's up, folks? Good to be back in the broadcast booth. Euro is tomorrow. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty called the Stanley Cup Finals. Folks, Game 4 is tonight in Los Angeles, Hollywood. So, it looks like a sweep is in hand. Will the LA Kings sweep the New Jersey Devils tonight? You never know. It's a toss-up. I think New Jersey might win tonight and go for a Game 5 in New Jersey come Saturday or Friday, whatever the next game is. Probably Friday. So we'll see. It's a 2% chance LA wins it tonight, but my gut tells me LA is gonna break the curse. 45 years. I remember the year 1993. I remember the other years that they came close with Marcel Dion and just couldn't do it. You look at guys like Luc Robitaille, Marcel Dion, never won a Stanley Cup. Never won a Stanley. Ray Ferraro never won a Stanley Cup. The closest he came was with the New York Islanders when they knocked out Pittsburgh in 1993. I remember that series too vividly. And now you look back then and you look now when the Kings beat the Leafs. The Leafs were probably the favorite in that series against the Kings. You look at that Leaf team, you had Doug Gilmour, you had Wendell Clark, you had Dave Anderchuk, you had Felix Potvin in net, you had Bill Berg, you had Dallas Eakins, you had, Dave Allett. You had a collection of great players. And then you look at the Gretzky's team, you had Wayne Gretzky, you had Yari Curry, you had Marty McSorley. Who else did they have? Young Daryl Sador, I think, was on that team. Rob Blake, I don't think was on that team in 93. I'm not sure. He could have been. I think he was a rookie that year, 1993. I'm not sure if he was on that team, but yeah, okay, we'll throw Rob Blake in there. Luc Robitaille was on that team. This team was stacked. They had a lot of good players. Bernie Nichols. This team had a lot of talent in 1993. And look at now, in 2012, years later, like almost 18 years later, it's pretty amazing. And you look at this team now, the likes of Ansi Kopitar, who else? Drew Doughty, Jonathan Quick in net. Just remember at that time they had Kelly Rudy in net. So, a similar type team, really skilled. And only thing is, they're more defensive. Back then they weren't defensive. They were gung-ho. They basically played wagon wheel hockey. It was all about goals. It wasn't about defense. So, and you guys like Dustin Brown now as the captain. Man, this guy is one of the toughest players to play against, and he's becoming one of the toughest players, to play the game. He's a physical young player. He's a leader of this team for a reason. Dustin Brown is really showing me that, I seen him when he got drafted back in 03. I never thought he was going to be anything special, but he's really turned out to be something special. He's becoming a leader, a guy that can pot you 20 goals a season, maybe get you 60, 70 points. Real tough player. Blocks shots, plays tough defensively, gets on the other star players on the other team as a real pest. He can do it all. He really is a character player. And another guy who's really surprised me in this class has been former Vancouver Canuck Willie Mitchell. This guy has really played some good hockey the last 2 months. He's been in a zone or something. We know Willie can't skate with the best of them. We know Willie can't do this, he can't do that. But man, he is a solid defenseman. He's the oldest player on this team. The ripe old age, 35, or actually 34. And he's young, but it's a young team. And he is one of the big-time vocal leaders on this team. He's a solid defenseman, uses the biggest stick in the league, and he's made timely plays. And his partner, Matt Green, the former Edmonton Oiler, like Jared Stoll, another player, he used to play for the Oilers. They have played excellent hockey. They've shown true character. They don't have to be the star players to make a difference for their team. They just play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Play hard. Play defense. Chip in the odd goal. Stick to the plan. Stick to the defense. Stick to the system. And that's what Daryl Sutter does. a system, and the players bought in and stuck to it ever since he was brought aboard. Daryl Sutter deserves this opportunity to win a cup. Came so close with Calgary back in 2004. And I will never forget it, when they played against Tampa Bay. So close. He really deserves this, folks. And so do the long-suffering fans of Los Angeles. But these fans need to come back and support their team, man. It can't always be about the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Clippers, and all the other teams, LA Angels, whatever. You got to really start focusing, start going to the Kings games, support your team, man. If you want to see them get back to the promised land again, say they win tonight, keep going to the games, buy your season tickets, cheer on these great young players. Jeff Carter, Mike Richards have brought something to this team. They brought leadership. They haven't had the amazing playoffs that everybody thought they would have, but Jeff Carter he's just been playing at a different level. I mean, the team in general are playing as a team. Remember, to win a Stanley Cup, you don't need to be a Sidney Crosby or a Henrik Lundqvist or Roberto Luongo or just the Sedin twins. It takes a whole team to win a Stanley Cup. It takes heart, and they've showed it in this playoffs. The Kings really believed in their ability. I've been watching hockey for many, many years. Let me tell you, they've really shown me that they want to win. And believe you me, they might just win it tonight. I'm very proud of the Los Angeles Kings. Oh, I got a CBA update. There is some good news. There is some talk that the players and the NHL are in talks. They might actually extend the collective bargaining agreement that ends in September one more year. So I think they'll probably keep talking during the 2012-13 season. So they'll probably put off any lockout or any strike for a year. So they're going to probably talk a little bit more during the season next year. So they're going to keep talking. So I don't know if they'll get a deal done by September. So I think they're going to do a 1 year. They'll sign a deal for 1 year contract extension to extend the current CBA. That's what I think is going to happen. I got some news on Luongo. I'm not saying the Leafs are definitely going to get Roberto, but the feeling I'm getting and what I've been checking out and from like the Toronto Sun and some news from Spectre Hockey and Eklund, Hockey Buzz, and some other rumors down in the States that even ESPN that the feeling is that Roberto Luongo could be going to the Leafs. I don't know who's coming back for Vancouver, but I got a good feeling it could be Luke Schenn and a few other big names on that team. Who knows? We'll see who gets traded to Vancouver. Wouldn't be surprised if they got maybe Gustafsson in the deal and maybe some draft picks, maybe second round pick too in that deal with Luke Schenn and Gustafsson. So don't be surprised to see Vancouver and Toronto make a deal. Brian Burke and Mike Gillis were talking at the recent general manager meetings. I don't know if anything was consummated, but when they have a little bit of meetings, they usually have a conversation over a trade. So you never know. Watch for the Montreal Canadiens. I hear that they are definitely going to be players come off season, come free agency. They're going to be making some moves. I think at the draft they might make a trade. I think Scott Gomez's time in Montreal is going to come to an end. I wouldn't be surprised if they move him or they buy him out, or we'll see what happens in the next CBA. There could be an amnesty clause on Amnesty's contract. I think the same thing for Wade Redden for the New York Rangers. He's been in the minors too long. They need to amnesty that contract. So we'll see what happens if there's amnesty. But I can see some teams making some big-time moves coming to draft, and especially in free agency. Free agency is probably not stacked right now. There's talk of Souther going to Detroit after the recent retirement of Nick Lidstrom. Nick Lidstrom's one of the greatest players of all time for one reason: his work ethic. He plays the game hard. He's patient. Nothing distracts this guy. He is a consummate professional. He's one of the greatest defensemen I've ever seen. Since Bobby Orr, Ray Bourque, he's right there. Forget, this guy's won 3 Stanley Cups, so he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, as far as I'm concerned. Nicholas Lidstrom, you're the man. You played amazing 20 years in this league. One of the toughest sports on the planet. There's a reason they call it the coolest sport on earth. And as far as I'm concerned, Nick, you're the coolest leader in the history of the Detroit Red Wings. You're right up there with Gordie Howe, man. Ted Lindsay, Steve Yzerman. I mean, Steve Yzerman would be Steve Yzerman without Nicholas Lidstrom. Thomas Holmstrom would be Thomas Holmstrom without Nicholas Lidstrom. Dino Ciccarelli, when he played there, it wouldn't be Dino Ciccarelli without Nicholas Lidstrom. And Nicholas Lidstrom is one of the greatest to ever play this game. And we got to appreciate greatness. And he will always be great, as far as I'm concerned. So enjoy retirement there, Nick. You're the man. Keep up the good work. Oh, on a sad note, one of the great players from the 1980s and the 70s who played in the USSR, the great KMN line, when he played for the Vancouver Canucks, Mr. Vladimir Kutov has died this morning of apparent hemorrhage in Russia. Very sad. He died at a young age of 52, and he had a great career, folks. He played in tough times in the Soviet Union. It was unbelievable. And I was listening to some stories on the radio today. I did see him play back in the day in the National Hockey League. Not in the 80s when he played for the Canucks, but he played for some other teams in the National Hockey League. I saw him play. It was a short time, but he was one of the best players ever. So we gotta remember, what he brought to the game and what he brought to his family. He's a good person. As for Danya, rest in peace. Okay, now Rick Nash. Though it's starting to heat up with Rick Nash. I think as soon as the Stanley Cup is over, we're going to hear more rumors on Rick Nash. Columbus want the moon for this guy. I wouldn't be surprised if the Edmonton Oilers would flip their pick to get Rick Nash. Maybe throw a couple players the other way to facilitate a deal to get Rick Nash. But the team I really feel Rick Nash might end up with is either the Toronto Maple Leafs, the New York Rangers, or the Boston Bruins. My favorite is the San Jose Sharks. You know why? They have a player by the name of Logan Couture. He was probably the biggest piece. That was the only piece that would got that deal done. And I feel Doug Wilson is feeling the pressure from management and feeling the pressure from the fans. I mean, they support their team year in, year out. They deserve a chance to have a shot at winning the cup. And I think Rick Nash could take them out, take them over the limit, man. Look at the Kings. The Kings get to the Stanley Cup, and you guys can't get to the Stanley Cup? You got to be kidding me. You have Joe Thornton, you have Antti Niemi, you have all these great players, Patrick Marleau, and you can't get to the Cup. There's something going on here. I mean, Vancouver's got to the Cup before these guys. Come on. Vancouver's been to the Cup three times in their history. San Jose's only been around since, 1992? And they've never been to the Stanley Cup final. They need to get to the Cup final someday. Give their fans in San Jose some hope. Hey, where's the Shark Attack? Well, it looks like Patrick Marleau could be moved at the draft. Possibility. Maybe Ottawa. I would even say Vancouver. You never know. Will they trade Ryan Kessler the other way? It's up in the air. I don't know. I don't think Vancouver is going to make any foolish deal. I think Luongo's probably the only player who will probably be moved at the current time. Mason Raymond, there's about a 50-50 chance I hear he might be moved, but I really don't think he's going anywhere. So I think they're going to keep the team together other than the Luongo deal, but they're going to pretty much try to keep the team together. Maybe add a free agent, a specific free agent, probably a forward and a defenseman, quality players. Looks like Vokun's off the market. He recently got traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 7th-round pick and signed a 2-year deal with Pittsburgh worth $4 million. I think this is a good backup goalie for Marc-Andre Fleury. So it looks like Brent Johnson's time with Pittsburgh is over. Thomas Vokun's a former All-Star. I mean, here's a guy that's been battling injuries in Washington, and this is a surprising move for Pittsburgh. Surprising move for Washington to trade off their goalie. But I heard a bunch of teams are going to try to sign Volkun as soon as he became a free agent. Philadelphia, Toronto Maple Leafs, a few other teams, Vancouver Canucks, Calgary Flames. I even heard were thinking about signing a Volkun if he would hit free agency. But don't be surprised to see Scott Clemmensen become a free agent. I hear they're going to probably call up Markstrom for next season to back up Jose Theodore. So we'll see what happens. Tampa Bay still need a goalie. We'll see. I think they might make a move to maybe acquire Anthony Niemi in San Jose. We'll see what happens there. I don't think they're interested in Roberto Luongo. They don't want to give up all their young talent, all their draft picks to acquire Luongo. What I heard recently that it would take a Vincent LeCavier deal straight up for Luongo to go down if Tampa Bay were to make that move. So I don't know what to believe. That's just a rumor. But we'll see what happens. So, folks, enjoy the Stanley Cup final. For the Stanley Cup Game 4 NHL Review Edition, this is Mark Spencer saying so long, bye-bye, and enjoy your summer. Enjoy the game tonight, folks.